welcome to Sarcastic Reviews. If you're watching this on YouTube, the puppy in the picture is Vader. He's half husky, half lab, and he's a 1-year-old puppy that loves having his butt scratched. But who doesn't? Today we are talking about the Santa Clarita Diet, which is a new Netflix release, a Netflix original that was released on February 3rd, 2017. It is a show which is 10 episodes, 30 minutes long each. And to be honest, it was actually a good set. It went by fast, although not a big fan of the ending, but we'll get to that. This is one of the first reviews we're doing on the site and on YouTube, and we also have a website, www.sarcasticreviews.com. We'll have more content. Like I said, this is the first review we're doing, so there will be bumps. You'll have to expect those. So to start with, this show stars Drew Berrymore as Sheila and Timothy Olyphant as Joel. They're a married couple with a kid, Abby. They're realtors, and in the beginning of the show, they're actually pretty generic. They're realtors, they're a little high-strung, nothing too special going on, although they do live in between two cops. One is a county sheriff who's really high-strung, very noisy, and very in everybody's business. And the other is a more relaxed cop, basically, from the police department. And yeah, I mean, living between two cops, you got to expect a little bit of anxiety, I guess would be the best word. The county sheriff that lives next door, he lives with his wife and stepson Eric. Eric is a nerdy guy. If you've seen the trailer for the show, he's the one that eventually defines diagnoses that Sheila is a zombie, or turning into one at least. So, the show starts basically with Drew Berrymore becoming a zombie, and it's completely unexplained about how it happens. And I try to avoid spoilers, but you can pretty much get all this from the trailer, most of it anyways. And they never really explain what happens to her. Maybe it'll come later on in future seasons, but she basically just starts vomiting, which again you see in the trailer, in front of prospective clients, which is actually a pretty funny scene, especially when they're trying to show the house after she does this, especially Timothy Olyphant trying to do that and ignore the huge mess that was made. They try taking her to a hospital. It's full, so they go to the nerdy kid next door, of course, because that's where you would get a second diagnosis. And he basically figures out that she is a zombie. She has no heartbeat. She has no pupil dilation. And again, in the scene from the trailer, when she cuts herself, she basically bleeds black tar, which makes her husband and daughter pass out. And the stress of all this is getting to them. There's some funny scenes where she basically displays what it's like being a zombie, and the husband and daughter have to deal with this. And then, of course, they also have to hide that from the neighbors, the two cops. And the problem is that Sheila is, again, played by Drew Berrymore, is having impulse control issues now that she's a zombie, and she is aggressive, and she can't stop herself from speaking her mind, and things like that. And, as Eric, the kid next door, says, you have to keep her fed so that she doesn't lose control of herself. So Timothy Olyphant, in some funny scenes, is trying to keep her as fed as he can so that she doesn't lose control. But eventually she does. There's some good cameos by Nathan Fillion, Patton Oswalt, Portia de Rossi is in it too. Nathan Fillion is great as like a very sleazy other realtor that's competing with them. Unfortunately, he's not in it for very much, but it was great seeing him not as the nice guy anymore, but as a sleazy, well, sleazeball. The Timothy Olyphant is great. He's the uptight pot smoking husband, and obviously this is something new he has to deal with, something very stressful. He freaks out all the time. Well, I shouldn't say all the time. He has a slow build to his freakouts. He seems normal when they're talking about potentially killing people, hiding bodies, doing things like getting rid of evidence. But then normal family stuff will come along, like the daughter getting caught joyriding, and it'll just push him over the edge to the point where he is dropping the F-bombs and saying fuck this, fuck that constantly. And it's hilarious moments that he's good at. Timothy Olyphant is a great actor. If you haven't seen Justified, definitely recommend it. The daughter Abby has to deal with her parents always lying to her. She knows about the zombie thing pretty much from the beginning. She doesn't know how bad it is, or that her mom can't just eat raw beef, that she actually needs to eat people. So they try to keep that from her. She's an angsty teenager, but not too far over the limit where she gets annoying or where you actually come to hate her. She's a good actress, and you like her in the show, especially when she is dealing with Eric, the nerd next door. And when I say nerd, I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I consider myself a nerd, although not the genius type nerd that Eric is. Like, he is the build a robot as a hobby kind of nerd. So, man, he's funny in it. It's the first time I've seen both the child actors, Abby and Eric. They're very good. And the only one that I didn't really like was actually Drew Berrymore. I mean, she has some cute moments, but once she loses her impulse control, she starts to behave really weird, and it's hard to take, to be honest. She's annoying in ways. She doesn't seem to want to help at all to cure the problem that she has, the problem that's destroying her family, basically. So she's uncooperative, and it's pretty annoying, actually, to watch as the show goes on, that she doesn't seem to care as much about trying to stay with her family and find a cure as much as Timothy Olyphant does. And he is constantly, I mean, like the typical man, really, trying to find a solution to the problem. He doesn't want to listen to Drew Berrymore when she tries to talk about it. He just wants to fix it. And the interactions with Drew Barrymore and Timothy Olyphant are funny. They're cute. They make a cute couple. They have good chemistry. Although honestly, Timothy Olyphant had better chemistry with Nathan Fillion. Those are some pretty funny scenes that they had together. And the relationship between Eric and Abby, the two kids, that's a good one too. The cop next door, the one that's nosy and trying to figure out what's going on, he's good. He's when I say nosy, I mean like he'll notice if you have a light on in the middle of the night. He'll notice if you're in your yard at 2 in the morning, and not only will he notice, but he'll be at your door the next day asking you why you were out there. So not the kind of neighbor that anybody really wants. And there's lots to deal with throughout the 10 episodes, although it does feel short. They have, like I said, the cameos. Patton Oswalt is a virus specialist that they try to consult with. Nathan Fillion is the sleazy realtor competitor that they deal with at some point. Portia de Rossi is she's a scientist trying to find a cure. And if you've seen Better Off Ted, she's basically playing that same character. It's another show. At one point, it was on Netflix. I don't know if it still is, but it's a very funny show, and I would definitely recommend it if you haven't seen it. She basically plays the same character, but smarter and a scientist. So they deal with the high school principal and obviously the issues that Abby is having dealing with the family problems. There's another zombie that shows up at some point. They have to deal with that, the competition, and trying to get along. And there's a dirty cop they have to deal with, someone who's trying to use them, and they have to hide from. And then there's the good cops that they also have to hide from. They try to kill only people who deserve it, kind of like Dexter, but they're actually really bad at it in a funny way. And they have to deal with it. It doesn't get all serious like something like The Shield, where they have to cover up everything they do, and it just becomes more disastrous as they go. It's more of a comedy. It is funny. There is some real moments where they have to consider that Drew Barrymore's character might actually die at some point. She is a wife, and she does have a kid, so that does turn serious. But for the most part, it's a funny show. There were some moments, like with Drew Berrymore, where she did get annoying, and like I said, it is 10, 30-minute episodes, and they do leave it on a cliffhanger, which I don't agree with, because they didn't really resolve a lot throughout the 10 episodes. So leaving it on a cliffhanger does feel like a cheat, which I'm not a big fan of. Anything else I can think of? Oh, there is gore. For sure there's gore. It's more along the lines of The Walking Dead. Not really like a Dawn of the Dead kind of thing where it's just really gross out, but The Walking Dead, but with better looking corpses. Because even though Drew Barrymore is a zombie, she doesn't actually start to get like her skin falling off and those kind of things. What does happen to her, they kind of make light of, they kind of play off as a joke, so it doesn't really get too gross. But there are scenes where she does eat people, and you do see, rib cages being ripped open and limbs being torn apart. I mean, they even showed that in the trailer. So there is gore, there is humor, there's lots of swearing. I mean, Timothy Olyphant constantly saying fuck this and fuck that whenever he whenever the last straw hits. And no nudity. It is a good show. I am looking forward to the next season. I wish they wouldn't have stopped with the cliffhanger. And overall, I hope they do something about Drew Barrymore's character to make her more likable. Although that might be hard because she is a housewife with suddenly no impulse control who doesn't want to be put down anymore. So it may be a point where she is this character and it's more about her family dealing with it. So we'll see what happens in the next season, but all in all, I would rate this a 7 out of 10. It's watchable. It's not something you have to go run out and watch. You probably won't fall in love with it and need to finish it over the weekend, but it's definitely watchable. It's definitely got a good premise that you won't get from network TV, and the violence is, of course, if you like horror movies, there's plenty of horror movie violence, but with a sense of humor. So that's it for now. Like I said, if you want to see more, you can check back on www.sarcastedreviews.com, and I'll be trying to add more content as I go. Thank you.